That's a difficult question. Basically, working in US is great. Like US life in Silicon Valley life, like it's a developed country. The roads, like it feels better
Mm-hmm.
here. That's true. Uh, of course, there's if I work in India, like I have the advantage of my family being close to my family, right? That's like even across my friends, that's the majority opinion. Like that's one of the reasons why someone would prefer working in India.
So moving forward, how was your experience of alternating between academia and the industry? Now, which calls out to you more now?
Okay. So I guess I've already answered most of that question. Um, so let me okay, in Samsung, when I was in industry, I had to prepare for masters. That was a challenge. I remember I used to like study in like lunch breaks in Samsung. I used to spare some time to learn these GRE words. And yeah, of course, during that time also, like life becomes pretty intense in Bangalore, like towards the end when I was applying for masters. And I had some other sort of personal things going on as well. So yeah, at that time life was pretty intense. And how did I manage it? Basically, I used to work in the evening, like after my job. And yeah, I used to try to finish my job as early as possible. And of course, I didn't focus towards the end towards getting the best rating possible in my job, right? Like in your job also, if you work really hard, you get the best rating, and so on, right? So I was like, okay, maybe I'll do the average amount of work so that I have time to work on other things. So yeah, I guess that's, and I was always clear, like I already mentioned, like I wanted to put out those research papers, so I have that nice background, and also at the same time be clear about what I'm really interested in. So that was there. And now what do I prefer? So I prefer industry life. uh, yeah, because it's much more fun in a non-academic way, I would say. So but I really wanted to get that. I had that thing in me. I really wanted to study like one last time really well in a good environment, like where everybody cares like too much about learning. So that's something uh, I sort of satisfied myself in that thing, like at CMU, maybe in the first 2 semesters only. So that's like that was my key reason to do masters, right? Well, why did I want to do masters? Like biggest reason was like I really wanted to study one last time. And it's good to have another degree. And I always like wanted to, coming from a middle class family, I always wanted to live this US life and live in Silicon Valley, and like all those things. And so now I prefer industry because that's why I tailored my entire masters to make sure it really helped me in industry. But there have been times when I've done research, like in CMU, I didn't mention my capstone. Basically, that was this 1 year project where I did research with a professor. So that was a good experience as well. Like we were working in the field of education, trying to build better courses. And yeah, like there's a lot of details I won't get into. But there have been times when I've enjoyed research. But parallel to enjoying research, I always sort of had that goal in mind that okay, I want to build a good profile so that I can apply for masters. So yeah, I'm personally more of an industry guy, I would say. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
let me. Yeah, it was nice to hear this. Let me ask you another question. Like you already told us the process of applying for the masters. The question is it same for the non-CSE course guys? Like someone is pursuing undergrad in non-CSE course. Like is the process same for them also, or is it something different?
Yeah, I think I would say it's 99.9% the same. In fact, uh, I would highly encourage you to still apply for, if you want to switch to computer science. I know many people, like another friend of mine, Chaitanya, like he's also from IIT Roorkee. He was, I think, IR1, and he was in electrical or EC, I think electrical, and now he's in Stanford computer science. So he's like one of the very good examples of someone who made that switch. And I also know many, and even in my MCDS program at CMU, like there were many people of EC or electrical background. Uh, maybe I haven't heard of like civil, because electrical and EC are still somewhat similar. Uh, but yeah, let me tell you more about that. So basically, why did I say 99.9%? Mostly it's the same process, but in your SOP, it's good if you justify like why you are sort of making this switch. So SOP is like your summary of your life, right? Like you tell your whole life, and why you made the choices you made. Maybe try to project it in a story way, right? But maybe it's good to justify it there why you're making this switch. And of course there are other ways as well. Like one of the good things I think I remember in IIT Roorkee was about like, so basically for both people in IMG and SDS Labs, when the companies came for placements, even if you are not in computer science, even if you are in product PNI or civil any other company, but if you are in one of these groups, then you are eligible to give an interviews for these companies. Not to say that you cannot apply for them independently. You can apply for them independently as well. But yeah, that's one example that comes to mind. So I think it's always good to make use of the really nice group culture that we have at IIT Roorkee. So and definitely apply for it. Like there are many people I know, like I meet on a daily basis who have switched from electrical or some other course. And yeah, as long as you maintain a good CGPA and maybe have some research papers which are relevant to what you are applying in. Like if you're applying to computer science, there should be computer science papers. Yeah, I think you have a pretty good shot at like getting into the really good universities. Yeah.
Okay. So, moving forward, how did you prepare for ICPC? And like, what should students who are not in any tech group should do to prepare for ICPC?
Okay. So ICPC, basically, so that was the cool thing in our class. All my classmates were very much into, many of my classmates were very much into ICPC, and everybody, and there were like really good people in my class who actually went to the world finals level as well. I wasn't one of them. I Let's see. So I went to this one time in Kharagpur, one time in Amritapuri, and yeah, we had a group of 3 people, and I guess most of my preparation was through Code Forces or Spodge. So Spodge is like good if you are targeting like some questions, like maybe you want to solve them for many days and think on it for many days to really build those concepts. But if you want to practice like a timer oriented environment where you have limited time and you want to solve a lot of questions, Code Forces is the maybe like it's one of the really good tools, and at least in our time that was really popular in IIT Roorkee. So yeah, many of my friends like in computer science, like we used to do Code Forces together and discuss questions. And I guess another good resource is Corman. I read Corman a lot. So yeah, like it had, that's another good thing. Like in IIT Roorkee, like there was this air of competitive programming, right? Like everybody wanted to do that. Even the people who were not in PAG. Like so, the PAG is a really good group for practicing for ICPC. If you're in first year, maybe try to get into that. I think they also hire in second year. I don't know about that, but basically, even if you're not in those groups, like just keep on practicing Code Forces or Spodge, and yeah, maybe I'm not the best person to give advice on ICPC, but that's at least how I and like. And again, my roommate who lives with me right now next door, he was my ICPC teammate. Yeah, so that's another a good example of like lifelong relations from IIT Roorkee.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else did you ask? What's the second part of the question?
Like people from non-tech groups. How do
Oh yeah,
they
I guess
prepare?
I guess I already answered that. So Spot, Code Forces, Code Chef, they have this skill in long challenges, short challenges, and Corman. Yeah, that's all I did. And HackerRank maybe
Okay,
something.
okay. I can add like one more part to it. Like you said there's difference between this ICPC thing and the interview questions. Can you elaborate on that? Like, is that what
Oh yeah,
is the difference?
okay. I would say ICPC is much harder. I would say like you really need to have that IQ, and like in the interview prep questions, like after a while it feels like the same questions. You start seeing those patterns, and I there are some people who can just like memorize a lot of Geeks for Geeks questions and get through get through that process, right? But in my opinion, those people would not be the people like who will do really good at ICPC. In ICPC, you really need to be honest, and you really need to have that skill, right, of data structures, algorithms. So for interview prep, I would never say do Code Forces. Maybe like initially, like if you really want to do it, I would say like just go through Geeks for Geeks questions. Or I did a lot of Lead Code, right? I bought this Lead Code premium subscription in US. So there was this Google deck, right? So I just went through that deck. Then there's Amazon. Excuse me. Then there's Amazon deck. So they have like this very tailored questions. Like, of course, what companies end up asking is not exactly the same, because they are also, these are public questions. So they are also aware that these questions are public. So they won't ask that questions, but it's mostly similar. Like maybe you practice for like 2-3 months, and after a while, you'll just crack those interviews. I would say it's much easier. But ICPC, like, you really need to be solid in those concepts, and you will get, like, especially in world finals level, or even in the regionals where I went to, I think both times the questions were tough, and you were really required to think about things from scratch. Like, of course, you have practice, you have some background, but in my opinion, it's not that straightforward. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I get that. Okay. There's another question for you. Like we talked about the environment in Samsung, like where you worked. Now, like, what is the environment more related to the schedule you follow, like throughout the day, in Google as well as Samsung?
Sure. So let me talk about Google first. Basically, so I just joined Google. Like, I joined in March. So currently I'm in, let me tell you about my team. So I work in search ads, and there's this team of shopping. Basically, my work is an intersection of deep learning, search engines, which is something I've been really interested in one of the courses I took at CMU. So deep learning, search engines, and software engineering. So that's something I really wanted during my team hunt process a couple of months ago. Let me see what else can I share about my team, which I'm allowed to. So it's basically this work, and we train user embeddings. Maybe I shouldn't say more than that. But okay, let me answer your question. Routine wise, it's pretty chill. I wanted, one of the reasons I wanted to get into Google is like this really good work-life balance. They care a lot about that. Like, they really take care of you, like the employees. Everybody's really nice, and which is exactly what's happening. Like, I'm just even though I haven't started going to the office yet, it will start in September. But even from just staying from home, there are like many perks. Like, they give you a lot of money to like buy some expensive, like, renovate your office workspace, and like those things. And I bought some pretty cool stuff, like, which I didn't have to pay for. What else? Routine, I guess. You mean like routine during my work hours, right? Okay.
No, like your whole day, you're waking up, you're working, then you are getting out with friends.
Okay, so right, recently I've changed my routine. So the first thing I do, right, these days, the first thing I do is start cooking. Because if it gets till evening, like if I wait till evening to cook, like I'll just order something from outside, which is not the best decision, in terms of health. So yeah, that's the first thing I do. I start cooking, and then parallelly I get ready, like brush and whatever, and then I guess breakfast, and like then I start the work. And in the morning, I guess it's pretty chill. Like I think I'm working on three different tasks in Google parallelly right now. So I just work on those things. I do have some meetings, right? So yeah, in industry life, you're gonna have lots of meetings. A lot of your time is gonna go in meetings. There are some meetings in the morning, and then after lunchtime, then I guess I do more solo work, like the actual coding that I need to do. In the morning, it's more like collaborative or meetings. What else? Yeah, in the evening, I just do exercise. Like these days, I got this cycle, that too from Google. So I go to cycling every day, like visit some parks or some random grocery stores. I really enjoy like food, and so that's why I go to grocery stores, and I like to explore new things there, like something new to cook or something. Yeah, I guess that's it. Like right now, it's pretty chill. I guess work will get more intense later on. Even my manager also explicitly told me, like, take the first 6 months to maybe relax a bit and absorb and learn things. Like, you're in ramping up stage, so don't worry like too much about. I guess that's something I wanted after CMU. Like CMU was like this huge, like sometimes I say black hole. Like I went in, I don't know what happened. I came out. It was, yeah, it was really, at least for me, it was really mentally exhausting. And yeah, I guess I forgot your question. What was your question?
No, I just asked you about the routines, like in the in-person
Oh, yeah.
interaction you have with people, like
Yeah,
either your
and
neighbors
Google
or
Answer.
like friends.
All right. Yeah. So many of my friends are at Google, which is another plus thing. Like during preparing for job search, I before my final Google interviews after my internship. So I also interned at Google, by the way. So after my internship, we're supposed to have these two interviews, and I was actually trying for a higher level because I had industry experience. So the interviews are different and more tough than that. So I remember I took like 12 or 13 mock interviews from my friends in Google, like who actually interview other people, just to get a sense of like how these interviews work. That really helped me. So and so there's four of us living here right now. Three are from IIT Roorkee, and all four of us work at Google. So Bay Area is full of people from Google, and many of them are from IIT Roorkee. So they're always there to help me, like any generic doubts I have about the company. And in terms of collaboration, yes, my team is really good. There's a good diverse mix of people, like you were saying before, different cultures. So there's people from China, there's people, like I'm the only Indian, but then there's people from Russia, Iran, and an American as well. So basically, and everybody's really nice. They host this really nice weekly meetings where they have a talk. They invite a guest, and they give you some talk about some latest development in deep learning, or how it's being used in Google. And sometimes we collaborate with Google research teams to uh, uh, get their help on like some really core deep learning modules. Maybe sometimes they implement them for us, or sometimes they give us like guidance on how to do some training. That's another thing. And so like my skip manager is basically my manager's manager. He has a lot of teams under him. So there are many sister teams that we interact with and collaborate with. So there's always like some meeting going on in which there are uh, members from other teams who are working with you on some projects. And yeah, I guess there's a lot of collaboration. Yeah. And also one more thing I would say, like for my job I just started, but I can tell you from my internship experience, one of the things Google really cares about is like a design oriented approach. Like uh, my internship was 12 weeks. I spent like 7 weeks out of those 12 weeks just to do like design, just to prepare a design document of like 18 pages. So basically, I was required to think about all different approaches to implement the same thing, and then discuss their pros and cons, like 5 different approaches, and discuss their pros and cons, and then make the final decision, like which approach to go with and why I chose that. So there's a lot of design discussion before you implement anything, and I think that's really good. That's one of the challenges I would say like I faced at Samsung. But yeah, I guess that's another good thing. And overall, the life is pretty chill, and they take really good care of you. In Samsung, also Samsung is a really good company. I when I entered that, I was of the impression that maybe it's not a good company, but I was in 3 different teams there, and some of my managers were really technically strong, and also like they were like mentors to me. They really took care of me, and they allowed me to have time to put out these research papers, and also at the same time practice using that professional level thing for competitive coding. But at the same time, like some of the work at Samsung I did was really good. Like at one time they sent me to Mumbai for 20 days, and I got to do some management role basically. So I acted as a liaison between Axis Bank in Mumbai and Samsung Pay team in Bangalore. And like all these fluctuation server issues, like that was a different kind of experience. That was different from coding. That was more like on the management side, and yeah, like how to get things done and interact with like tech leads and all that. So yeah, it was a good experience at Samsung as well. Yeah.
Okay, so like there's another question I want to ask along with this. Like, what time do you spend? Like, what is it? I want to ask you about the time you spend with your family. Like, you in US, like your family might be in India. So, how do you like make a balance with it? Like, because you can't meet them regularly. You go there once in a year. Like, what is it about?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. So, like my family has been like the only constant in my life. Like during my time at CMU, like sometimes it got pretty lonely because especially I cut off all the socializing. So I've been really, really
Mm-hmm.
attached to my family always. And like in Roorkee also, like I'm from like before my family used to live in Ambala, which is like 3 hours from Roorkee. I used to travel like every
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks to home, and even during my quota time. So in US, obviously it's not possible to go there. Even in Bangalore, I used to go like once in 2 months, but in US it's not possible to go that frequently. And in fact, the last time I went home was 1.5 years ago, which is yeah, sometimes it takes a
Like,
toll on me.
mm,
Yeah,
that's too
because
long.
yeah, I know. Yeah, that's
Mm,
because before it was masters, then because of COVID, I couldn't risk losing my offer at
mm-hmm.
Google. Like if I got stuck in India, and now I was
Mm,
coming on May 8th, and then this ban happened. But yeah, the point is like,
oh, yeah.
yeah, but I've always like spoken a lot to them. Even during my masters at CMU, every day I used to call them for like 2 hours video call, and I used to leave the phone on and I used to do my work. So just to hear the noise at home and like what's going on, like my nephew, like he's
Mm,
playing or making some noise, and that really, I guess, yeah, without my family support, like nothing would have been possible. Especially in CMU, like there were times when I got like really lonely because of COVID and staying away from family and like I said, not
mm.
socializing too much. But my family and maybe like one or two friends in India were the only sort of emotional support for me. So I guess I still do that. Like for many years, even in Bangalore, like I just call my family every day for like 1 to 2 hours, and I just leave the phone on and I just do my work. Yeah, yeah.
So, like when it is about the employees who are working abroad. Like, so do they give special holidays for like if you want to go home? Do they give any special holidays for
Oh
that?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
or how is it?
yeah. So in Google, it's really good. Recently, like Sundar Pichai announced that like they have this international work from home policy for like
Mm-hmm.
oh, these details are public, right? Hold on. Yeah, I think they're already public. Okay. So basically, for many weeks, you can go to India or any international location in the world, and like you'll still be paid US
Mm-hmm.
salary, and you'll still be working with the same team in US, and you can work
Mm-hmm.
remotely from there. So like many of my friends, like one of my friends, he went to India last year for I think for 6 months, and he worked from there. So they're really like they're really cool about this. Like you just need to speak to your manager
Mm-hmm.
and tell him how you'll manage your work. So like in India, the time zone is sort of opposite. So even I had this plan. I was going to come for
Mm-hmm.
1.5 months,
Hmm.
like when this ban happened. So I already spoke to my manager. He said, "Don't worry about it." So I was going to attend only the meetings in the morning and do my work like in India daytime, and they are pretty fine with it. And this is just one of the provisions they've made. There are many other things, like there's family care sick leave. Like if you're with your family and they are sick, then also you can apply for sick leave. And in Google, there's unlimited sick leaves uh, to take care of yourself. Like there's no
Okay.
limit on that. And yeah, I guess. And also like I think they've also made another provision like where you can permanently change your location to some remote location, and you'll still be working with the same team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like they go as far as possible to try to help you and make your life as comfortable as possible. Yeah.
So, like, is it same for the other companies also, or is it very specific to Google only?
uh I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Like one of the things I know, in Facebook you are allowed to do work from home internationally, but you can't do it from India. They have this list of some countries where you can't do work from home from, and India is in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my friends, he was getting married. He had to postpone that because of this ban,
Mm-hmm.
but he was going to go to India in May this month for one month, and he was going to take the whole month off because you basically cannot work from India. Like if your team is in US in Facebook. Other
Mm-hmm.
companies, I think, yeah, some of them do have. I have another friend, and she got this permission. She's in PayPal, and she also uh, got the permission from her manager to go to India for 1.5 months. So I think in general it's pretty chill. Worst case, of course, you have vacation, right? You can always take vacation off and go to India. I'm just talking about if you can still work. So if you have vacation days left, yeah, you can always like go to India, like combine it with some other Christmas holidays, and people. That's how many people go for a long term. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so
like if you are given an option like working in US, on Google, or you working in India, what you will choose, like working in India or working in US, like in the same company?
That's a difficult question. Basically, working in US is great. Like US life and Silicon Valley life, like it's a developed country. The roads, like it feels better here. That's true. Uh, of course, there's if I work in India, like I have the advantage of my family being close to my family, right? That's like even across my friends, that's the majority opinion. Like that's one of the reasons why someone would prefer working in India, because they're close to their family. Other than that, uh, I would say mostly in my opinion, I found everything to be better here. But of course, it was a different company in India. It was Samsung. Here it's Google. Like I haven't worked in Google India yet, so I don't know how that would feel. But in terms of uh, having the best people, like in like I work in Mountain View at Google, right? So they're really great people here. Like my technical lead in my team, my technical lead in my team is a PhD. My manager is a PhD. My skip manager is a PhD, and they're all from like somebody's from Stanford, and they're really good people, really smart people, and definitely like in terms of talent, like you have the best talent from the entire world in Silicon Valley. Not in Bangalore, it's like mostly from India. So yeah, I guess yeah.
Okay, I got the answer. Yeah, Akanksha, you can go forward with the next question.
Okay, so this is the final question, sir. So, what is the final piece of advice you would like to give to our audience?
Okay, so what I would say is like, so if you want to reach, you have some goals, right, and you want to reach there. I believe like there are like 1,000 different ways to reach there. Like I had my own way, so okay, whatever I say, maybe that's just think of it like as one of the approaches. I'm not saying like that's the only way to reach there. Yeah, so I think one thing that I've always uh, done is like be really like persistent and stubborn about my goals. Like so like at CMU, like I said, there was a time when I got really lonely, and other than my family, the only thing that kept me going was like I was like, no, like I have to do this, like no matter what. Like I had some goals, like like getting into Google, or uh, getting this level, or the money thing, everything. So like yeah, like I really, it sounds a bit cliched, but like I was really uh, very serious about like, okay, either I'll die here or I'll achieve everything. So again, that's one of the approaches. I'm not saying everyone should do this, but yeah, that's something that has worked out well for me. Like being really stubborn about my goals, and um, yeah, like doing like this extreme hard work. Um yeah, like I felt like I've seen people like who do the same amount of output that I do, and they do it in lesser time. It takes me more time. Like I like to do things really slowly and properly, so that like I can get them right in my first attempt only. So that takes some extra preparation and extra amount of time. uh, but I feel that's always been worth it. Maybe you end up doing a bit less, but you do it really really well. And like I guess that aligns with what I was saying before. Like in CMU, I only targeted one thing. Like I deprioritized everything else in life. Even there are many things like that were really important in my life before CMU time. But like I was like, okay, this is the thing, and I want to do my best in this. So I would say like work really really hard if you are serious about your goals. But yeah, that's not the only way you can get there. Maybe if you have a really good work life balance, and you are used to managing everything together, and maybe you can achieve the same thing in a very chill way. Yeah.
Really nice.
Okay, like
Thank-
this can be an unofficial question. What is it about the like IIT thing in the US, or like people don't even know about IIT, or is it like oh, you are from IIT? Wow.
Oh, they definitely know about IIT. Let me tell you that, especially in my professors, like so CMU has one of the best professors in the world, like in many fields, and I got to interact with many of them, and I had the same doubt. So let me tell you clearly. So when you apply for masters, right, your application comes all these 5-6 things that I told you about. So if you are from IIT, they know that. Like my Professor John Stamper, I did my capstone under him for 1 year, and I asked him a lot of questions about admission process and all that. He knew he knew the IITs by name. Like he knew, okay, there's Roorkee, there's Bombay. He knew it like that.
Wow.
So yeah, so the people who are a part of the admission process, they definitely know IITs, and they have this huge list of rankings of all universities, and because they can't memorize all the universities. So yeah, the professors at CMU and I'm guessing other universities as well, definitely know about IIT. In general, at Google, I guess once I tell them about CMU, like the conversation becomes more about CMU, like because they know more about CMU. IIT I've never really talked a lot about IIT. Like, of course, there are many Indians. They all know, and if you have an Indian manager, he'll know. I am not sure, but yeah, in my internship also, like I saw some people from, I think from Middle East or Russia. They did not know about IITs, but the good part is all the people who are part of the admission process or where you want to get, they will definitely know. And also, like in Google, also like if while during this conversion process, I asked one of my friends from IIT Roorkee to also give me some. I did my BTP with him, so I asked him to give some feedback on that as well. So that was also good. And like every time anyone applies to Google, they send an email to all the people from that college. So like if I apply, so all the people in Google who are from IIT Roorkee, they'll send them an email like, "Oh, do you know this person?" So I guess that's another way, like many people can then contribute. Yeah, I know, or like IIT Roorkee is a good college. So it definitely has value. And there's also an implicit value. This is the explicit value I'm talking about. Implicitly, like if you stay in the smartest people for 4 years, that will definitely like make your brain more logical, and it will really help you down the line, not just in terms of relations, but it will change your personality and the way you think towards more towards making decisions more logically. And yeah, I guess that's really good. Yeah. Oh, sorry, one more thing on that. Sorry, that once you are in a very good environment, like you have all these friends from IIT, and like the group culture, right? Like I was saying, IMG. So you know what to do next in life. So you see all your friends, so you get some like good options, and then you can get guidance from a lot of them. Like I personally, a lot of people helped me, like in the master's process, how to write SOP, how to write LORs. So and most of them people were from IIT Roorkee. So if I hadn't been in such a really smart group of people, like it would have been really hard to achieve some of the things that yeah. All right.
Okay. So finally, we have come to the end of this interview, and thank you so much, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule, and we wish you all the very best for your future endeavors, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, I hope I was of some help. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you were
so
amazing, insightful.